Hey YouTube, it's Petey, and I uploaded a video a couple hours ago where I got pissed off. This amp project has been a lot of bullshit for me. A lot of that was my fault, some of it wasn't. Um, anyway, it was a real lot of bullshit and a lot of me getting feeling like I was getting kicked in the balls by life. Anytime when I go through a project and the shit doesn't work out, it just fucking fucks with me, you know? Like I had a horrible fucking nightmare. I've been having these recurring nightmares that my father pulls a gun out and he's going to kill me. So I got to see this pistol. It's like my dad is upset because I let him down because I wasn't a good enough son. He was a violent guy. So this is what I've been dealing with is these fucking recurring nightmares. I had one this morning where here's my old man up, here comes the fucking snub nose 38 and he's aiming at me and I'm fucking playing dodge him in my dream, and then I wake up and I'm like, you know. So, and I know all of this has to do with this fucking guy that died, my buddy that died, he didn't tell everybody that he was sick. He wanted to fucking have one last because he was a fucking asshole. That's how this guy was. And he didn't tell anyone that he had lung cancer. And I fucking called this. I told my wife it's only going to be a moment of time before the recurring nightmares fucking come back. And I've just been up against it with this fucking because it's spring and getting all the gear ready, writing songs. This fucking amp has been just a hole where I've been throwing money and time trying to get this fucking thing done. And I finished it today, and of course it didn't work. Well, we took a break. We went and we played some music, which is a whole nother fucking shit show. Neither one of us can't remember any of the parts. And it's like she's playing one thing wrong while I'm fucking up the other. And we're both forgetting and arguing with each other, trying to remind each other how to play this stupid fucking shit that I wrote. And
yeah, I might not remember what I'm supposed to play, but I remember what your stuff, certain things are supposed to sound like, you know.
Yeah, you're supposed to go near, 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 near. Oh, am I? So after we finished up with that, I went back over there and fixed the amp. So the noise gate works 100%. All of the controls on the Angry Charlie are working. The EQ works. It's still a little dark, but I really like the tones I'm getting. I need to put in an indicator. I've got that stuff coming from Tata. Normally I get their stuff in like 7 to 9 days. And it's taking 3 to 4 weeks per order. Of course, because it's PD's up against it with this amp. Anytime I take a project on, that shit weighs on me. And it's like, you've got to get it done. You've got to get it done. It's like this thing. And if I get more than like 3 things on that mental list, then I start going goofy and I got to make a paper list. And then I'm nutty until I get it down to like 2 or 3 things, you know. So last year's amp was a whole, oh, don't even get me started. And again, I bought PCBs that didn't work. 3 PCBs that did not work. And then I built 4 preamps before finding the one that I liked. So, you know, it's like 8 things that I had to do, and 6 of them were bullshit. So it's not like I'm fucking, you know, like, which one's positive, which one's negative? I don't know. Chew them up and try it. It's not like I'm a goof and I'm, you know, something wrong with me. I can do this work. I did so many of these fucking apps starting in 2010 with the Class D shit, building stuff for the family band. There's so many of these fucking things that I didn't document that you guys don't know about. That wasn't worth talking about it. Where I took apart speakers and built in sealed lead acid batteries and then made a panel where you could recharge them and with toggle switches, and I'd have a digital readout that gave you the voltage of the battery, and that would power a 50 by 2 board that would split off with an 1/8 inch input and then a little preamp, the volume control, and then there would be a cord that would go in between to power the B satellite. I built so many of those. And then it was building amps that have front ends to them, adding on, improving amps that had mixers, building the PA stuff. So if you're sitting there from a perspective where you don't really do that much of this stuff, and then you're from my perspective where every year you're building 3 or 5 pedals, you're building a powered mixer, you're building a brand new amplifier with built-in front end and effects, a tone amp or a spring reverb, like I did last year, and a Marshall preamp. You're building some noise project, and you're doing all of this in 1 year. And then you're doing an album where you have to set the whole studio up. You're doing writing a bunch of songs, dragging all that gear down to the remote, filming it, editing it for YouTube. Then when you're up against it in spring and it's like weighing down that you need to be done and you're having fucking, what do you call them? You're going crazy in your dream life. You're having repeating, what do you call that? Recurring fucking nightmares. And then you wake up and it's like, oh, your order's not coming for 3 weeks. Or this thing that you built that everyone said was the greatest thing since sliced bread. Well, there's no high end on it whatsoever. This fucking thing, you built 2 of them because you thought, well, one of them would work. Well, you're right, because one doesn't fucking do anything at all. And how about this? One thing after another with this amp. Trying to squeeze 20 pounds of shit into a 5-pound box. Eventually, yeah, I did get mad. I got mad. I was pissed. Sorry. So, going back, I calmed down. I cleaned it up. I got everything to work. Everything's fine. It sounds fantastic. I am going to play around. I'm not going to even talk about that. It's not worth discussing. Now, I'm going to take another pedal, a Dirty Shirley, or a Friedman BEOD. I'm going to set it up on the same speaker with a different Class D board and match the two. So they, put a buffer in front of it. I have to do something to comp for that Fetzer valve probably too. Probably just a little boost. And match these amps to get it set as close as I can, the same frequency response and gain. Then I'm going to take that pedal and I'm going to move it to the front of the clean channel. And that's basically because the way I built this thing using shielded cable. I don't use wire. I use fucking shielded cable. Everything is 1.5 inches longer than it needs to be until when I actually cut it in. Then it gets cut down to the perfect length and retrimmed. And I apply 2 shrink boots on each thing. One for the ground and one to cover the split. And then that way all the 6 wires line up with the DP-DT switch perfectly. And you just solder them in. So the idea of going in there and tearing that all apart to see, do I get more treble by moving this distortion back in front of the Lay Louie, the cleans channel? And can the Lay Louie handle that? It probably will. Typically, you can take a distortion and run a boost after it, and it just boosts it, So I'm going to try to replicate that and see and play around. Because part of it is that I don't want to be tweaking so much. I don't want to have to adjust a button. I'd rather just have a switch where you can go clean and dirty. So if that test shows that, oh my God, the Dirty Shirley with the treble cut on it to replicate this Angry Charlie, if that sounds really good before the Lay Louie, well, I'll rip it apart and reassemble it with a bypass on the one side of the toggle, the distortion circuit on the input and the other output of the other side of the toggle. And so it'll be buffer, Fetzer valve, bypass for the distortion, and then the last thing that the signal sees before the power amp is the Lay Louie. And I'll run it like that. As it is, the amp needs the Fetzer valve, has a trim pot and so does the Class D amp board. So I am going to install pots for that. I'm going to, right above the volume input jack, there's a spot. And I can put a pot there for that input. And then I'm thinking maybe on the side, I'm going to do just a big honking master volume knob. Cut that in there. And then I got to add a indicator. My indicators still haven't come. I'm still waiting and waiting. And I ordered more shit from them yesterday. So that's the case. Yes, I was pissed off. Please forgive me. Sometimes I get angry. And if you were in my shoes and you had my fucking temper, and then just feeling like you just keep getting kicked in the fucking pants by this project, because it fucks with me. Typically, I build stuff and I get it to do what I want it to do. That no compromise thing. That's what I mean by that is I usually always do good, you know, and it's not like, oh, I built that pedal and it doesn't really sound that good, but I use it because I built it. You know what I mean? I hate to be like that. So, forgive me for losing my temper in my other video. I am going to do my best to get this amp finished before we go out. But, you know, the other thing is this. I might want to take it out just how it is and put it through its paces. Because I'm not going to know how it does until we're there. So me getting all fucking freaked out and like, oh, it's the end of the world. This fucking thing doesn't work. I wasted so much time and money thinking about this. It's all I've been thinking about since I got done with the fucking album. And, you know, I ordered the first PCB for this like 2 years ago. I ordered the Thunderbird. This has been hanging around. And now I'm thinking like, duh. All you needed to do was get rid of the charge pump. You had the 24 volts right there for the amp, you know. So it's like, oh, you need to build another amp out of that Thunderbird. Anyway, I hope this was a better video. Remember to be nice in the comment section. If I get mad, well, I get mad. I'm aware of that, but thank you for pointing it out. And we're going to watch, what's that movie? Nobody. We're going to watch Nobody. And she's making Zabugas pie, which is, it's hamburger with onions, and then there's mushroom soup.
Cream of mushroom and cream of chicken soup.
And then there's cheese. And then there's tater tots on top. And you jam those tater tots in so there's a lot of them. And all the grease gets in there. Finger food. It's good. Anyway, you guys, hug your pets and peace.